Hey, it's JV here, bringing to you a new video, and this one's going to be on the top 6 events of the space race. During the mid-20th century, the two superpowers of the world clashed in what we know today as the Cold War. The clash between the two powerhouses of the Soviet Union and the United States became more competitive with the race to space. The space race was a battle between the two superpowers for supremacy and spaceflight capabilities. So coming in at number 6, we have the launch of Sputnik 1. The Soviet Union created the world's first artificial satellite on October 4th, 1957. This launch came at a time when the United States is working on their own artificial satellite. This encouraged the United States to take a more serious approach to the space program with the creation of the National Aeronautics Space Association, NASA, in order to catch up with the Soviet Union. This would lead to competition eventually known as the space race. So coming in at number 5, we have the launch of Sputnik 2. The Soviets notched another victory in the space race on November 3rd, 1957 with the launch of Sputnik 2, less than half a month later after the launch of Sputnik 1. This time, however, there was a living being on the spacecraft, a stray dog named Laika, who became the first living thing to orbit the Earth. This attempt provided critical biological data for later space flights.
Coming in at number 4 is the launch of Explorer 1. The United States would not be bystanders for long. They successfully launched Explorer 1 on January 31st, 1958, America's first artificial satellite. Explorer 1 provided key information for later discoveries and was the first of over 90 explorers to be launched.
Coming in at number 3, we have the launch of Vostok 1. On April 12, 1961, Vostok 1 spacecraft took off carrying Yuri Gagarin, who would become the first man ever to travel into space. Gagarin would orbit the Earth for around 2 hours before parachuting from his capsule when the spacecraft reached a safe altitude. This was the largest Soviet triumph during the space race, and they again took the lead over the United States. Coming in at number 2, we have the launch of the Mercury Redstone program. The United States answered back with their own Vostok program, the Mercury Redstone program. On May 5th, 1961, Mercury Redstone 3, which is also known as Freedom 7, took off carrying Alan Shepard on board. Shepard did not go into orbit like Soviet astronaut Gagarin, but he did become the second man ever to travel into space and the first American to do so. This successful launch helped regain ground on the Soviets after the Vostok launch, put them ahead.
Coming in at number 1, we have the Apollo 11 moon landing. The United States would claim the ultimate victory in the race with the Apollo 11 moon landing. Both rivals had plans to make a manned moon landing, but on July 16, 1969, the United States sent a crew consisting of Neil Armstrong, Michael Collins, and Buzz Aldrin to accomplish the first moonwalk. 4 days after the launch, the lunar module carrying these 3 history-making astronauts separated from the command module. While on the moon, Aldrin and Armstrong performed the first moonwalk in history, collected lunar samples, took photographs, and put the American flag on the moon.
Wrapping this video up, the space race ended with the Gemini and Apollo programs of the U.S. taking a huge lead in the space race. Realizing that the race to the moon had been lost, the Russian and the Soviet Union canceled their lunar program and instead focused on building a space station. On April 19, 1971, the Soviets successfully launched the world's first space station called Salyut-1, which would form the basis for the later Mir space station. In July of 1975, with relations between the U.S. and the Soviet Union beginning to fade, the first U.S.-Soviet joint mission occurred with the Apollo-Soyuz project. Overall, the space race had a positive effect on the two countries because it not only improved relations between the countries in the end, it also forced both countries to improve their technology. This time in history was a time of discovery and exploration of space, which overall benefited the two superpowers. The space race was effectively over.
This has been JV.
And we're out.